Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Magic Mike Show. Hello, Mr. Samich. How are you?
I am doing well, Aaron. This is one of those weekends. Like, we keep talking about it. We don't have football, but that's okay. We've got the NHL playoffs. We got the NBA playoffs. We got a major in golf. We've got the Preakness, a good card on Friday and Saturday. We got a pick six carryover tomorrow at Santa Anita. There is plenty going on without having any football going on. So I love this time of year in sports because you get in these later round series, and the playoffs are just fun, and you get these big racing cards. So I'm pumped, man. No Debbie Downer from me today.
Well, why would there be? I don't understand why you're trying to get us pumped. I mean, there shouldn't be a Debbie Downer. It's Preakness week, man.
You'd be shocked, man. People they get the NFL schedule release, and they're like, now we have to wait 100 days for our first college football game and this line for an NFL game. I'm like, yeah, well, we got something to talk about, and then we got all this other stuff going on. Why is this a bad thing? Like, look, what is it? Absence makes the heart grow fonder, right? Like, trust me, when we get into June and it's just baseball and we're in between Saratoga and the Belmont, people were going to be wishing we had playoff games and, this and that and everything else going on. So, look, This is a fun time.
Really, about middle of June is where you look up and you're like, we got nothing for 2 months.
Thank God we have like Saratoga in July. Like, July would be brutal if it weren't for horse racing.
Oh yeah, July and August, Saratoga and Del Mar as well. That definitely kind of bridges the gap for horse racing people for sure. Okay, before we get to that, which I am looking forward to Saratoga, but we do have Pimlico this weekend and the Preakness. I think it's going to be fun, that race. We'll talk about it in a second. Hey, before we get going, Car Ramrod says, wondering if they're going to be on the turf the next 2 days. I've been looking at the forecast. I think tomorrow is iffy. I think we'll be okay Saturday. What about you?
Yeah, I kind of agree and disagree with you. I think we're going to be on the turf. And here's the reasoning why. I was there the year Justify ran when it was a foggy, rainy day. It was a mess the entire week before, and they were on the turf both of those days. And you know why? Because these are the only 2 days Pimlico cares about. Like, they don't want to take these races off the turf. They're only running for 3 weeks. If they destroy the turf course in these 2 days and don't run another turf race, that's just fine with them, right? They would rather just have these on the turf course. So this is not like your normal racetrack, like a Saratoga would never have these races on Friday on the turf, right? Because they've got a 6, 7, 8 week meet. They want to have graded turf races over the weekends. They want to protect those turf courses. Pimlico does not give a shit about protecting the turf course over these next 2 days. They are happy to run over that puppy. So maybe we see like some of the Friday races early in the card that aren't stakes off the turf. Any stakes, I think, is on the turf for sure, and then we'll see how it goes after that. But it, like I said, Pimlico, they just want these 2 days to be good, and they don't care if the turf course is ripped up afterward.
I like it. I agree with you as well. By the way, Joe says Cubs are in first. Will be a great July. Samich, you're a Cubs guy as well.
I am, and I am pleasantly surprised by this batting lineup, man. Like, it's just been phenomenal to see them be able to hit the baseball up and down the lineup. The pitching is good enough. That division stinks, so we should be able to stay in top the division. And again, like Anderson Crow, he's awesome. I like adding Kyle Tucker into the lineup. I thought made such a difference for the entire lineup. Like, you forget, because we haven't had a Kyle Tucker type guy on our team forever. You forget how much that one bat makes all the other bats really good. So, I'm excited about the Cubs in July. It will be fun to watch them. We'll get some day baseball from Chicago, but let's be honest here. I'd much rather be watching first and second round of the NHL playoffs than day baseball from Chicago.
Have them to win the division there for Pedlo. I have them to win the division as well. Look out for those birds. They're flying. Look out for the Cardinals. Uh-oh, here come the Cardinals. No, I don't think they'll keep it up. I'm with the Cubs as well this year.
I still have like a soft spot for this Reds team, which I think could do something, but they like, it's been 3 years and they still haven't done anything. So I have to kind of get off them. But I think it's the Cubs division to lose at this point.
Dude, with the new manager at the Cincinnati is like, all right, they're going to turn it around. This is a year. That's the same old shit, man. Like they go 6 games in a row and they can't get a hit, and then they score like 20 runs, and then they can't get a hit again. I'm so sick of them. So mad.
I like how upset you are that you start stuttering right out the gate. Like,
because it's bullshit. That's why
at
they
least
pay me the big bucks.
At least we don't have like the 40-1 division ticket where you're just like painfully watching every one of these games that they blow late in the season like we did 2 years ago.
Oh, well, 2 years ago, they actually at least were in it. And then last year, they never, ever got going. And it feels like this year, they're not going to get going either. So, oh, well, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's do it. Enough baseball talk, enough all this, the weather. We've covered it all. Let's do the pick five. What do you say? Let's try to hit it again. I told you, it's your turn. I got it.
It's my turn.
It's your turn.
You got to post your ticket up on Saturday. No one knew you hit it because you didn't post your ticket up after the scratches in the off the turf race.
No, plenty of people knew. They got to buy my product if they want the update.
Oh, all about the sales. I see how it is.
I do want to keep the doors open as long as possible here at Racing Dudes. All right, guys, let's get to it. Magic's not here, but we're going to toot the horn, aren't we, Samich, if I can find it? Oh, there it is.
No, that...
All right, Samich, let's do it. Let's kick it off. It's race number 9. So number 9 through 13 here at Pimlico. Those are the races. That's the sequence we're going to be covering today. And you can't have a Preakness Pick 5 sequence without the Jim McKay Turf Sprint. Field of 9 going 5 furlongs here on what might be a soggy turf, might not. We'll see what happens. All right, Samich, where are you going to kick us off?
Well, first off, scale of 1 to 10, how sad are you the Arabian race is not part of this Pick 5?
How sad, -3 that on the sad scale.
I never understand why they make it the last race of the day. Why wouldn't you run that first? Like if your plan is like, hey, we'll have a race after the Preakness for people to stick around. Don't make it the Arabian race. That is not the way to do it. Anyway,
make it a race that means something for the Pick 5 or the Pick 4. Yeah.
It's one of those just like head palm moments. Anyway, here, turf sprint here, Jim McKay turf sprint. Let's go with the number 4 horse, Witty on top, 10-1. Surprise, 10-1 is the morning line here. Witty ran once in the local prep for this, ran a pretty good second to 4 Harp in that spot. But if you go back and you look at some of the turf races after the debut efforts, we've seen this horse take a step forward before, ran second in this race in 2024 after using that local prep as a stepping stone, has multiple mid-90s buyers, which fits with this field. And oh, by the way, our boy Flavian Pratt decides to jump aboard in what is a race that has a ton of speed and sets up for someone to come off the pace. I think Witty has a very good shot to be that horse. Love the 10-1 price. If I get anywhere near that, this is going to be a win bet for me as well.
Uh-oh, I didn't use Witty.
I know.
Oh, boy.
You're out after the first leg.
That's not very witty of me, is it?
No.
Yeah, look, second off the layoff, I think is going to be good for this horse. I don't know. I just I kept looking and I couldn't quite get there. He definitely is a horse that is very consistent. Just don't see a ton of wins here lately, and that's why I did not use Witty in this spot. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. With scratches, if you buy the product, you'll be able to maybe know that Witty would make the ticket if I have scratches.
Well, it's you kind of look at Witty's like past performances, and you throw out the last 3 before that turf sprint. They were all on dirt, and then you go back and it's like, okay, was okay in a $100,000 race, but got a really rough start in that one. So let's throw that one out. Then it's a grade 2. You throw that one out, and then you go to the 3 races prior to that, and they're all good enough to compete with this division. And so you really have to be willing to give him a pass in a series of races, and 3 of them on the dirt. Those are easy. And then the break, I think, is an easy one as well. And if you do that, all of a sudden you get to a 10-1 shot that makes a lot of logical sense in this field.
All right, throw out all the races that he's been running, and he's got a chance.
Not all of them. 3 dirt ones, one that he got pinched, and another one that was a grade 2 $1 million race at Kentucky Downs where he clearly doesn't belong. Like, there are very logical excuses to throw them out.
Right, throw them all out. He's got a shot. I totally agree.
This isn't like the Cincinnati Reds games where we're just like, nope, today they'll hit.
All right, we're off to a really good start. All right, let's go. It's a second leg. We could have skipped it. Really, would have been fine. All right, I'm going to go number 2, No Nay Hudson on top in the spot. I hated that this. Well, I guess the horse isn't the favorite, but he's close at 5-2. I didn't like that. I was hoping to get a little bit better price, but it is Wesley Ward on the turf sprinting, so I should have known better. But look, the race last time out at Keeneland was pretty solid. It was just an allowance race, but let's face it, this isn't just too tough of a field here either. The race 2 back at Fairgrounds, he did okay off the layoff. I think I'm with you. Like, I think this pace has a chance to set up pretty decently. And I think the 2 None Hudson's going to be one that's going to come running kind of from that stalking position, maybe sitting 4th or 5th and get good run at the leaders here. So I used number 2 None Hudson to kick this thing off. You only went too deep. I'll let you talk about your second one, I guess.
Well, you just did. I'm too deep, 2 in the 4.
Sorry.
Yeah, give me a great job hosting there. Way to just, 2 None Hudson, the other horse for me here. You kind of said it. Look, this horse is competitive at higher levels than this, and now is facing a weaker field at this level. It makes a ton of sense here. Second off the layoff, ran well in the debut coming back at Keeneland. You'd expect gets a little bit better here. I think the pace is pretty hot. You've got enough speed all around here that you're going to set it up for None Hudson to be able to sit right off it, kind of in that 4th or 5th spot. It looks like Boats a Rockin's going to go. It looks like we're going to see why can I never pronounce this horse's name? Coppola go. And then you also have like 4 Harp from the outside. Mattingly might be involved. There's just enough pace here that I think it sets up for None Hudson to sit right behind it and get the lead. And then the question is, can None Hudson keep off the deep closers? If so, I think it's going to be None Hudson's race to win. So since I am using a short price of 5-2, just give me those 2 horses, None Hudson at 5-2 and Witty at 10-1.
All right. Yeah. So that's it. You're done, right? I've got 3 more to talk about here. You can tell me I'm stupid on these. I use the number 5 Determined Kingdom in the spot. I think second off the layoff, the horse will run better. Second out for a new trainer as well, as in Trombetta there. And look, I think this is a horse that is kind of the same as the 2 in terms of where Determined Kingdom can sit. I think when there's other speed in the race, this horse sits off the lead just a bit and makes a nice little run. So I thought this horse made sense here. I thought 4-1 made sense as well. I also used the number 8 Mattingly. This is a horse that I think can come off the pace a little bit as well. Last time out at Gulfstream Park, pretty nice effort by Mattingly to get the job done by 3.5 or 3.25. I thought that was a really good race. And you look at the last 4 races, 3 of them on the turf. They were all 3 pretty good. The dirt race wasn't. 3 races back, got beat by XY Speed. That's a horse I would use if XY Speed was in it. Biz Buzz is a horse down at Gulfstream that isn't too bad either. So I thought the 8 made sense as well. And then I did use the 6 because of the class. I just think this horse is the class of the field. If there is a horse that's going to take him gate to wire, I think it's the 6. So Coppola for me, the last one on the ticket. I went 2, 5, 6, 8. All right. What do you think?
I mean, definitely a drop in class here for Coppola, right? Who had been against better the last 2 times out. I just kind of feel like this horse might be done. Like the pace wasn't even that hot in either of those 2 races. 22:45 sounds fast, but like this is a 20 or 21 and low 21s, 42, 43 horse that's been holding, and now all of a sudden can't hold 22:45. That's a concern for me. So I would never be on Coppola here just because of the price and the fact that there's too much unprovenness, especially when you have like Boats a Rockin' and 4 Harp, who definitely are going to go as well. So I'm gonna pass on the 6 in every way, shape, and form. I don't hate the 5 or the 8. I wish the price was a little bit better on the 8, and then that horse may have made the ticket. Like if we were at 15-1, 12-1, somewhere in there, I think it makes more sense. But yeah, I really couldn't get past the 2 and the 4. I just think it sets up so well for both of them that it was hard for me to really make a case. And so definitely wouldn't use the 6. The 5 and the 8 would be considerations, especially if I got a better price on the 8. But that didn't happen.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of handicapped this without the morning lines. I think that was like Monday or Tuesday morning. And yeah, I kind of thought the 8 might be a little bit higher priced as well. I want to ask about a horse because I like this horse because I'm sick and watch Charlestown. What about the 7 Duncan, Idaho? Is that one you thought about at all, or do you think that's just a crazy entry?
That's one of those horses where you just kind of scratch your head, right? Because hasn't run a race that wins this race, but all those races were 4.5, has shown the ability to come from off the pace at 4.5. So you kind of think maybe we sit the right trip. If you're a believer in Tomlinson numbers, 457 Tomlinson number on the turf at this distance. So bred to turf sprint, that's ridiculous. Tomlinson, by the way, 457 is huge. So there is some idea that maybe this horse can turf sprint. To me, this is your horse you use if you're bombing the superfecta, if you're bombing the try, right? Like if you want to play a try with 4 over, let's say 2, 5, 8, over 2.578, 2.578. Like that's going to be a try that pays very nicely if the 4 wins and the 7 runs in the money. So to me, I would be a little interested in the exotics for the 7, but you couldn't convince me that the 7 can win the race.
Yeah, that's kind of where I landed too. Obviously, I didn't use the horse because of what you just said, but it's just the horse. It's like I've watched this sucker run. Like he just likes to run. You know, yeah. And I saw this and I thought, that's really odd that he's here. So we'll see. I'm kind of excited to see him.
And just for everyone's like edification here, the trainer's 29%. Jeff Runco is a very good trainer at smaller tracks, right? And does not take shots with horses like this very often. So the fact the horse is in there tells you it's at least a little bit interesting. 1-for-1 turf sprinting, 1-for-2 in the first turf efforts, like 21% wins last start, gets a jockey that he's 22% with. There's a ton of reasons why this horse probably outruns the 30-1 odds. And I don't necessarily think that they entered it just to hope that this race was coming off turf, Ron. I think that the idea here is this horse might be able to turf sprint. And if he can, you want to take a shot. And so, getting a weight break. I mean, there are things to like. Again, I just think it's too tall of an ask for this horse to win the race.
Yeah, a couple comments about Boca Chica, who is the main rider for Farrier. He's actually on Honeyquist, and that's a horse Duncan Idaho consistently beats. But Honeyquist does have a win over the turf at Ellis, so that kind of is like, oh, okay, maybe that is the one. We'll see. So I don't know. I wanted to bring that horse up because I like horses like that. But no, I was with you. I didn't use him either. So we'll see. All right, let's go on to the 10th race here. I think this is kind of a fun one. I think we might have a couple that are decent. I want your thoughts on it as well. Race 10 here. It's back on the dirt now for the Sir Barton, going a mile and 16, $100,000 the purse. Field of 9. I went short in here. Looks like you kind of went short in here. I'll let you go first. Who do you like?
Yeah, it's started out here. Let's go with the number 6 Invictus, their favorite 9-5. Lost a chance from Patrick at a Saratoga maiden special weight. That was a very good maiden special weight back in 2024. Came back first time out for the 3-year-old season at Keeneland. Ran awesome. Just looked great with Flavien Prat. Beat Camp Hale, who is one of those always a maiden horses, but usually runs against very good horses. So not a bad horse to beat there for running in second. The buyer jumped up, got a 90 for it. Source always has wanted to stretch out. The distance should be a positive here into Mischief on the top half. And Flavien Prat for Brad Cox has pretty much been a cheat code over the last 2 years, 36% for the two of them with a positive ROI. And like, if you think about like the big jockeys with the big trainers, like Irad and Chad Brown, that's not a positive ROI, right? But like Cox and Pratt have actually been a positive ROI. So they're winning with both prices and with horses like this. I think Invictus is going to be tough here, and I think there's enough speed and that Invictus has the ability to sit off the pace that you get a pretty good trip in this spot as well.
I'm with you. I have Invictus on top here. I went too deep. He was the one I used on top here. And I thought the race at Keeneland was super good. I was very impressed. And you're right. Camp Hale is a horse that loses often, but he kind of just stomped Camp Hale and he's finished strong. So I'm with you. Pratt was aboard that day. He's aboard here. I actually think this horse could be decent. I think this horse might actually run in bigger stakes and maybe make a little bit of an impact. So yeah, Invictus for me on top. All right, who else did you use?
I'm going to go out to the outside here. Give me the number 9 horse, Just a Fair Shake, 6-1 on the morning line. This horse was okay back in the 2-year-old season, breaks the maiden on first start, comes back in a $100,000 overnight stakes that was supposed to be on the turf, gets taken off the turf, ends up running third in that spot. Studley Do Right, a horse that we talked about quite a bit early on in the Triple Crown season, ends up running second in that race. And then comes back as a 3-year-old, debuts at a mile and 16th, able to win, jumps up into the Testo, which is the local prep here for the Preakness. And I thought ran a pretty good second against Pay Billy, even though it was broken out of the 10 post, was hung 4 to 5 wide on both of the turns. I ended up making the lead or getting close to it and then just getting beaten by Pay Billy there at a nice price, 22-1. I think this pace sets up really well for Just a Fair Shake, where he's going to be able to kind of tuck in toward the rail. You've got 5 horses that want to be toward the front, which means that the 9 post, not as big of an issue for me. And it also sets up for horses that want to come from a little bit off it. So I'll take a little bit of a shot here with the 9, Just a Fair Shake. 6-1 is my second pick.
Man, Just a Fair Shake, a horse I love as well. But I shouldn't say it. Let me retract. The horse I liked when I was doing this, but I couldn't get there. I did not put that horse on the ticket. Going to be super mad if he wins, though, to be honest. Well, no, I guess I'll be happy for you. But, I liked that last race. I thought it was sneaky good. So I'm with you on that. All right, though. I just went very simple here. I put the number 1 Crudo on as the second horse. I only used 2. It's the same. The 6 and the 1 are the same to me. They showed up after one race and they showed up at Keeneland and they just dominated. So for me, I had to put the 1 on the ticket. This is a horse. So much I don't remember what we were doing, but we were on the air or getting ready to go on the air for one of the shows we were doing. And you're like, did you just see that horse at Keeneland? And I was like, yeah, I did. And it was Crudo that we were talking about. So I've got him. So I'm going to go 1-6 in this spot. I just think it's a 2-horse race between those two.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a big time guy. He got everything his own way on that race. 24-second opening quarter mile. Like when you watched it visually, it was very impressive. When you go back and you're like, okay, now let's factor in the fact that super easy lead, 6-horse field, didn't really get pushed through the second quarter, then actually ran a lot slower in the third quarter, and then didn't really come home very quickly, but wasn't pressed. So maybe there's just a lot in the tank. Like, there's enough there that I'm like, yeah, you got to beat me at 5-2, especially if I'm using the 9-5 shot with it. And again, I mentioned the speed in this race. I think Crudo is going to have a lot harder time trying to go gate to wire, going 1 mile and a 16th from the inside post and having to do it with a situation where he's going 22 and change, low 23s to the first quarter versus a 24. So because of all of that, I decided to pass on Crudo. I wouldn't be shocked if the horse wins, but it's just not the right price for me to be involved in this one, especially if I'm using the 6. Did use the horse right to his outside. Best Friend Rocket here, 15-1 on the morning line. The coach, D. Wayne Lucas. How do you ever pass up a D. Wayne Lucas horse, Aaron? I don't know what you're thinking there. Look, this horse was in the Brittany Russell barn, ran at Laurel, was pretty good through the maiden special weight in the N1X conditions. Goes and runs a $200,000 allowance and got a nice win for the coach first time out there. Comes back in the Arkansas Derby, and we're just going to go ahead and draw a line through that. Didn't break as well as this horse had normally broken. The pace was ridiculous, faded at the end. Like, just forget about that race. If we run back to the race 2 back, this horse is a player at a big number and has the ability that doesn't need the lead, has speed, but in all 3 of the wins did not have the lead through the opening quarter. So this is a horse that's shown that you can at least stalk a little bit. I think it's a very good trip right behind the speed of the speed. And if Invictus doesn't fire, Best Friend Rocket's kind of like Invictus Light in a lot of ways, where this is the horse that picks up that trip if Invictus isn't that good. And I'm getting 15-1, the 4th longest shot on the board. So willing to take a little bit of a chance here. Going to use the favorite at 9-5 and Invictus, but then we'll go with 2 prices, the 2 Best Friend Rocket at 15-1 and Just a Fair Shake at 6-1.
It's I tell you what, I don't hate the Best Friend Rocket use. It's a very weird horse. The horse was with Mott and did nothing. Went to Brittany Russell, which, I mean, that's kind of what happens when those big trainers have a horse that they don't love, and did really well, 2 out of 3 wins, and then shows up with Lucas, which is like, what? Now we're back here. I'm with you. Like, I don't care about the Arkansas Derby. The allowance win at Oaklawn, it's good enough to maybe think this horse has a shot. I don't think the horse should be 15-1. I ultimately didn't use the horse, obviously, but I think 15-1 is kind of crazy. I think he's got a better shot than that. And I think you're right. Like, what happens if they go pretty fast early and he's sitting right there in like 3rd or 4th? I mean, he could turn the corner and look pretty good.
And that's kind of what I'm projecting here. I think Crudo goes, and so it's hard for me to love the 1 because you've got him in the 7 post who is 100% going to go as well. We don't know if Invictus is going to show front end speed. You've got Authentic Gallop from the 8 who has got speed. You've got the 4 horse, Mr. Bogan, who's not as fast as these, but has only one choice, which is to try and go to the front. Bear Claw Necklace has speed if he ends up in this race. It just kind of sets up for one of those horses to kind of be really detrimental to each other toward the front end. And to me, the main horses that benefit would be the 2, Best Friend Rocket, and the 6, Invictus, if they both can stalk. And then the 9, Just for a Shake, who we know can handle the distance and is going to be coming from off the pace.
Yep. No, I agree. I think the pace is going to be very interesting. And that's kind of why I do think it's like, look, I do think Invictus can kind of sit similar to where like a Best Friend Rocket might sit. I don't think Invictus is going to go right to the front. And so that kind of makes him tough as well. So I think we kind of see this one similar. All right, let's go to race number 11. I got a couple horses I like in here as well. So race number 11, going a mile, the James W. Murphy Stakes, mile on the turf for your $100,000 purse. Field of 10. I only went 2 deep in this spot as well. I got a couple, like I said, that I really like, but I want to hear yours first. Who you like?
Yeah, I almost so I considered putting a $5 ticket together for this because I have a single in the last leg. Spoiler alert, everyone knows who that is. I almost singled the 5 End of Romance. This is a motion horse for John Velasquez. He's got 2 in here, the 5 and the 6. I'm going to use them both, but I do like the 5 more than the 6 in this spot. 9-2 on the morning line, so you're getting a decent price. This horse ran well over in Europe, was able to win 2 races over there, comes back in a $240,000 stakes over at Turfway Park. I thought ran very well in that race, especially considering you had some bumping that happened toward the top of the stretch. It's why he lost a couple lengths from that the 6 furlong point toward the stretch there. Even though he moved up in position, he dropped back a little bit. And then the last race I thought was phenomenal. That was an Aqueduct course that was playing very slowly. You weren't seeing a ton of horses be able to gobble up ground late. And again, when you just look at the form here, you see he goes from 7th to 5th. But he made up 5.5 lengths in that race and that time. And he was closing like a freight train. I think the 5 horse has a big shot of being able to, again, close into this pace, which I think is going to be pretty decent once again. And if that's the case, End of Romance has a very good opportunity. 3rd time in the barn, 3rd time here in the U.S., a horse that should appreciate a softer going aground that is going to be able to gobble it up late. I think the 5 End of Romance makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I misspoke. I actually used 3 horses in this race, and the 5 was one of them, End of Romance. Did not put the horse on top. I have the horse in second, but I am with you. I thought that they're kind of building this horse up the right way for this race. 3rd race off the layoff motion, I think had the horse ready to fire, like you said, last time out, and just was kind of up against it. I think this is a really nice spot for the 5 End of Romance. So I did use the 5. I put the 7 Reagan's Wit on top, though. Coming out of the Transylvania, and that was a tough race. That was a race we covered, I believe, on one of the shows. I think we did. I don't know. I could be wrong on that. But anyway, I thought that was a tough race. Got 4th, only beaten 3 1/4. And how about 2 races back? Zulu Kingdom, who came back to win on Kentucky Derby Day very impressively. Reagan's Wit within a neck of beating Zulu Kingdom that day. So I thought, man, this is a really nice horse in a really good spot. Easier race than what this horse has been facing. So the 7 was who I had on top. And then, like I said, I did put the 5 as the second horse on the ticket. Who else you got?
Yeah, look, the 7, Reagan's Wit, and the 3, Clock Tower, kind of your 2 class horses, right? Clock Tower, Wesley Ward horse, run 4 straight graded stakes. We've seen Reagan's Wit come out of that Transylvania, which I thought was a pretty good race. I thought test score was really impressive in that spot. And Reagan's Wit, again, kind of improved, but had an interesting trip just because of the post position. So it was in post 2 at 12 that day. Kind of got bottled up in on the rail, didn't get open until late, was in the 6 or 7 path around the turn, and then just kind of wasn't able to put it in high gear when everyone else did. And that's why you saw Reagan's Wit get out finished. I am using the 7 here because I do respect Cherie DeVoe. And again, I think you're going to get pace in this spot. I mean, the 8 horse wants to go, the 3 horse wants to go. You got a couple others that have shown speed as well. Feels like you're going to get enough pace to chase for someone to come off of it. And then I use the 6, the horse to the inside. The other Grand Motion in this spot, first time Flavian Pratt. I think that is a big positive. We've seen this horse have competitive races going the mile, did one at Keeneland, ran pretty well there, ran well at Gulfstream during the 2-year-old season, or the 2-year-old campaign that bled into the 3-year-old season. Came back over a good turf course at Laurel. I thought ran pretty good in that allowance. Now, obviously takes a little bit of step up here, but it's second off the layoff for Motion. And Motion's one of those guys where I do think he tends to run his horses into shape more than he is like, hey, we're going to fire huge efforts off the first. And I like it when he says, okay, a horse didn't win an allowance, but I'm going to step up to Stakes Company because that's what I believe this horse fits at. I think this is a pretty good spot for this horse. So I went 5, 6, 7 to get through here.
I like the use of the 6. I didn't use the 6, but I kind of agree with you. The same kind of logic that makes sense. And yeah, Motion with Pratt aboard. It's going to be one. If the 6 wins, I'm just going to be like, yeah, I should have used. But I did end up using the 3 as my third horse on instead of the 6. It was between those 2 for the third horse. Look, the Transylvania was not great. There's no doubt about it, but the races on the turf before the Transylvania, all good enough to compete here. In that race for Clock Tower in the Transylvania, just went out there, speed and fade. I'm worried about the 8 maybe getting out there with the 3, but I don't know. I still just feel like the 3 drawn inside maybe gets the lead and maybe doesn't look back. So I took the 3 and went 3, 5, 7 for me in this one. Anybody else you want to talk about in this one?
I considered the 1
Yeah.
which would be kind of a crazy price here, but it's a Kitten's Joy, Animal Kingdom on the bottom side. So bred really well for the turf, stretching out to a mile, broke the maiden in a race where if you go back and watch it, like a lot of things went wrong for this horse, Twain, and was still able to come up and win at 9-1. Obviously, a huge step up in class here, right? Going from a Laurel 5.5 furlong turf sprint to jumping into this company, but is bred to like the distance, is not going to be as far back as you may expect, right? Was 8 lengths off at 21-4 pace. So that puts you like 2 lengths off a 23-second pace, right? So it's not a huge issue there from a distance perspective. So a little bit interested at with Twain as the one horse at 20-1, but didn't make the ticket.
Yeah, I looked at Twain a little bit. I looked at the 8, Curahi a little bit as well. Another horse that has kind of just been running consistently well, just not winning. That they kind of just fell under. I think that's more of a trifecta type of horse than a horse to put on a multi-race ticket. So, but the 8 was another one that I kind of was looking at as well. So, all right, well, let's move on.
Real quick, I could make a case for the 4 too. If you think the 4 is going to take to the turf, and has run once on the turf and ran an okay third, the buyer didn't come back very good, but has improved a lot since then. And if you convert the dirt buyers over to turf, this horse has a shot. The Tomlinson turf rating 401, so pretty good there. I wouldn't be shocked if the 4 is a player here, especially later in the race.
Yeah, I didn't really consider the 4. You're right though. A couple of those dirt races are good. Yeah, I couldn't do it. I thought about the 10 for a minute and it's like, no, don't do that. That horse isn't very good. So kind of the same.
I don't think the 10 runs if this is on dirt or on turf.
Yeah, probably shouldn't.
I mean, it's been all dirt races. You've got the 1 synth and it wasn't very good.
Yeah, no jockey named, I don't think either.
No, which is usually not a great sign. But
Yeah.
we'll talk about that in the next leg.
Yeah.
Good transition.
All right. Well, let's do it. All right. Let's get to the race 12, the Dinner Party Stakes. Grade 3 event here, going a mile and an eighth, $250,000 the purse. Field of 13, and I can tell you guys, Samich and I have been somewhat different, but somewhat the same. Completely different in this race. All right, Samich, I'll let you go first.
Yeah, give me the 3, Signator, who does not have a jockey right now. That's the professional transition there. On top, 8-1 on the morning line for Shug McGahee. This was a horse that we talked about a lot. Back when we were in graded stakes company at Gulfstream Park, ran in the Suburban, grade 2 last year at Saratoga, was supposed to be one of those dirt horses that was up and coming after winning back-to-back races at Aqueduct last year or 2 years ago, and just never really came around on dirt. Now, did run mid-90s buyers, which I think is important to note. The last 2 races, Signator switched over to turf and wins a $100,000 allowance at Tampa, comes back, wins the local prep here, overnight stakes for $100,000 at Laurel. This is a $1.7 million horse. Tap it on the top, so you know there is some turf, seeking the gold on the bottom. And I think this horse is very live. Like I look through what we see in the past and then look at the last 2 turf races. There's every reason to believe that Signator is able to continue to get better on the turf, just third time touching this surface during his career. And if he improves off those 2 races, he's a threat. Like he fits with everybody else. You're getting a nice price at 8-1 as well. So I'll take the 3 Signator on top.
And I put, here's the weird thing. Like Shug has 2 in the race, right? The 3 and the 10. Why would the 10 have a jockey and the 3 wouldn't? But that was kind of my thing. You know what I mean? Like, I don't get it.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Like the no jockey thing is obviously a little weird. We'll see if this is just a main track only horse, which I mean, he would make sense on the main track against all these as well. But he actually has the turf form now and won, like I said, the local prep race to come back into this race. So it kind of makes sense that he wants to run over the turf course. So we'll see who gets announced. I don't love that, but again, 8-1, willing to take a chance with the price here on a horse that I think is getting better, specifically over the surface.
Well, and I'm with you. I think the 3's best surface is the turf after those 2 races. So it's not like his horse was some kind of monster on the dirt. So I'm with you, but yeah, I ended up taking the other Shug, the 10 Fort Washington, and that's the first horse that made the ticket for me because he had a jockey and also because he's been running pretty well in pretty tough races. And so when I looked at Fort Washington, obviously last time out winning the grade 3 Canadian there at Gulfstream Park, beating a horse named Major Dude, who I think is decent enough. 2 races back, ran in the Pegasus turf, and look,
he was fine.
look, Spirit of St. Louis helped
Yeah.
me 2 weeks ago. This horse got 5th, beaten 2 1/4. Makes sense to me. Major Dude beat him by a neck 3 races back. Running B, a horse I kind of like, beat him by a length and a quarter. Listen, I don't think this is a monster, but I don't think this is as tough as what he's been facing. So the 10 Fort Washington, that was the first horse on the ticket for me.
I mean, I'm not going to knock Fort Washington. I had this horse who was 35-1 and dead heated at Monmouth. That was a fun. I think we hit that pick 5 on the Magic Mike show that day with that horse. So that was a fun one. The price 5-1. That's a little short for me on this style of horse because he is one of those guys who comes from way out of it. He's only won 2 of his last 9 races. Again, you mentioned did win the last time out. That was in a 7-horse field. Now you're dealing with 13. You're coming from the back of the pack. You're in the 10 post. There's just enough that I think could go wrong for Fort Washington here that it made it hard for me to put a horse that I do very much like on the ticket. I think I have him in 5th in this spot. So he was a consideration, but didn't end up making it for me.
He kind of reminds me of the horse that ran at Keeneland on the turf a few weeks ago. We both played it. We both didn't even use him. Who just gets a lot of seconds and thirds, and I think he got like 2nd or 3rd in that race as well. Can't remember who it was, but I think Shug trained that one as well. The difference for me is we got a win. Who was it? Limited liability. Yes, that's the horse. That's the horse I'm talking about. But here was the difference to me. He won a race last time out, a big plus versus limited liability.
Yeah, fair.
And I just feel like he's been running against better horses than what limited liability have been getting beaten by. But still, like, I understand what you're saying. I do.
Yeah, I mean, the problem for me is like he was at Aqueduct, ran in a mile, $100,000, $50,000 overnight stakes and lost.
Yeah,
and he was in the Grade 3 Knickerbocker and lost. And like it's just like he loses races he shouldn't lose. Like if you're that good of a horse, you should be winning all of those races, and then you're taking him at a shorter price with everything else going on. Just makes it tough for me to gravitate toward him.
Yeah, I have no argument on what you just said. I do think there are definitely races where you look at it and you go, "You some bitch, you should have won that race. You just didn't.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't really have an excuse." And I get it. I just don't like this field very well. So I feel like this could be a spot. So anyway, who else you got?
Give me number 6, Balnikov here. Second pick for me. This is a horse that I've had a love-hate relationship with consistently over the last, 4 years that this horse has been running. Magic absolutely hates him. I have a love-hate relationship with him. He won this dinner party here last year over this soft turf course, so we know that he can handle the ground, know that he can handle the distance here. Came from way off the pace to beat Krabs and Beer at 5-1 that day. He's another one where he don't have the win since then, which is kind of his style. He doesn't win all the time, but you're facing horses that are better than him, right? That are just like, you're simply getting a softer spot here, like Utah Beach, limited liability last time, Spirit of St. Louis the time before that in the Pegasus World Cup Invitational, Capo Spirit, Gold Phoenix, very good horses out in California. When he gets this type of Grade 3 field, he usually does pretty well. And it feels like he's over a course that he likes. You get Pratt to ride him back, which I think is definitely a positive here. And I like the fact that he had the Elkhorn to kind of get prepped up here for this race specifically. So I think Balnikov outruns the odds at 9-2.
Yeah, I thought about that horse a little bit. I don't necessarily disagree that he can outrun the odds. I just couldn't do it. You talk about the price on Fort Washington, the price on Balnikov is just like, I don't know if I want to do it or not. So that's where I was with him.
Yeah, it's definitely a personal preference thing on Balnikov, right?
Yeah. Yep.
It's whether or not you believe in the upside talent of him. And you've seen some of those races where it comes out. You've had other duds, right? And you kind of have to decide, is this one of those days? And because it's supposed to be a softer turf course, if we are supposed to have rain specifically over the weekend, I don't think the turf is going to be firm. I think it's going to be good or soft. And you have Balnikov, who has won this race over this style of turf course. That makes it much more interesting to me from a play-on perspective.
Yeah, no, I get it. It's a logical case for sure. I wouldn't try to talk you off of it like you would listen anyway. All right, let's go to my second horse on the ticket.
True story.
Listen, number 13, Trickery, drew horrible in this race, but I still think this horse is better than anything else other than maybe Fort Washington in the race. I thought the first race back as a 4-year-old was pretty solid. It was just a mile race. It was a grade 1 event. Carl Spackler and integration in there. That's a tough ask for this horse. But some of the races last year are just super good. Winning the Belmont Derby, winning the American Turf at Churchill as well. And I just think second out as a 4-year-old, we're going to see this horse run well. Hate the post, no doubt about it. But If Velasquez can kind of get this horse to work out a trip, I think he's the best horse of the race. So the 13 is second horse on the ticket for me.
Yeah, totally get it. Just not interested in playing a horse at this price in that post, in this size of field, right? I'm not going to defensively use the 13. Consider I'm singling journalism next race, so that really limits how I'm going to use some of these horses.
Don't spoil it.
Well, it's kind of it matters in this spot because,
Okay.
if I'm singling, I don't know, let's say Heart of Honor, right, in the next race. I'm spreading a little more in some of these earlier races, but because I'm singling the favorite, I'm not interested in spreading nearly as much in some of these earlier races. This was the only race I went 4 deep in, but I'm not going to use a 5-2 shot and then also use your second choice at 9-2 if I am going to spread in this spot. So respect it, scared of it, not going to defensively use the 13 at that price. Okay. Third horse on the ticket for me, the number 4 horse, Neat, for Rob Atras and Joel Rosario, who had himself a day last week. Joel Rosario riding the 4 here. And this is another horse ran behind Signator last time. And Filomeno, who we can talk about as well, who almost made my ticket. I think might have made yours. But you go back to this horse in the Manila in the Hall of Fame back in New York last year, was running very well in those spots and kept improving. I liked the return in the Kilroy Mile. I thought that was just kind of the most advantageous trip for him there against better horses. Then you come back in the prep for this. Would have liked for him to run a little bit better, but now you're getting that third off the layoff. I think this is a spot where Neat can improve, and he should be a little bit closer to the pace than your deep closers, which should be a positive trip here for a 4-year-old. So I'll include Neat at 8-1 here on the ticket.
Thought about that horse, but ended up opting for the number 9 Irish Aces instead. So that'd be the third horse on the ticket for me, Irish Aces. I don't know why I can't say that very much. The 9 horse. Look, I think last time out, they kind of just said, let's just go to the front and see what happens, because we'd never really seen that from this horse. Now, the pace was slow, so that was part of it as well. Kind of fell in the lead, but he was running a little faster than normal, and he just held on and, ran a very good race, and that was an allowance there at Keeneland. Yeah, we're moving up today. I don't think it's that much of a move up for this horse, though. Like, we saw him in the Canadian get 4th, only beating a neck to Fort Washington. So I'm only getting beaten 3/4 of a length to Running B. We've seen him compete against decent horses before. I just like the tactics. I think try to send him again. Picks up Rispoli today in this spot. Try to send him, try to take him gate to wire. I put the 9 as the third horse on the ticket.
Yeah, I have the 9 on the ticket as well. And this is one where, we agree on a 10-1 shot. That's kind of nice. I think this horse can win on the lead or win just off it. And that's another reason why I like Irish Aces here. You do have some tactical options with this horse. If you want to go forward and want to go to the front, then let's go for it. Let's see what happens here with Irish Aces. If you want to sit off it and you want to just kind of sit behind, maybe the 5 horse who decides to go out at 20-1, you have that option as well, and you'll be able to make the lead at the top of the lane as long as you're able to get by. So I think there's multiple paths to victory for the 9 Irish Aces, and I don't mind the Rispoli switch. I like Rispoli as a jockey, he's especially on turf. So happy to take a shot here with Rispoli and Walsh at 10-1.
Look at this, man. Thank you, Pedlo. Super sticker. I didn't know what that was. That's cool.
How do we collect stickers here? I don't even know. We don't do donations very often, so I don't even know what's going on here.
Yeah, I don't know how. I don't know if I'd rather have the $20 or a sticker. That's cool. Yeah. Thanks, man. Yeah. Listen, hey, we both like the horse that you just asked about, so I think that's fun as well. And you know what? When thinking about this, Jody's Pride last week, Pedlo came in. I think it was the second to last race. He said, "Hey, I just got here. Did they use Jody's Pride?" We both did. The horse won, paid like $17 last week. So this could be a sign. So thank you, Pedlo, for that. All right. One more for me. Okay. Let's see if you make fun of me for this one. 15-1 shot. I put number 7 Cash Equity on the ticket as the last one here. Connections play for sure. Safi Joseph, Irad Ortiz. Don't mind that. And look, this is a horse that it's been competitive. We just need a little bit of luck in this spot, right? Like, got beat by Far Bridge. Pretty nice horse. Got beat by Capture the Flag. Only beaten 3/4 lengths. Nice horse. Wish it would have won the McKnight, but didn't. But hey, lost by a nose. Was competitive with Major Dude in Fort Washington a couple times. Competitive with Battle of Normandy. Point being, this horse has ran against some good ones and been okay. Gets Irad today. And look, the last time Irad was on the source, it was 3 back, and the horse nearly won. So I think it's a good sign. I think can kind of sit in that middle pack and try to make a move late. So give me the 7 Cash Equity. That's the last horse on the ticket for me.
Yeah, interesting. So Cash Equity and the 5, Ramar are both cross-entered in a $75,000 stakes at Gulfstream Park, race number 11 on Saturday. They are the favorite and the second choice in that race. So the 5 is the favorite, the 7 is the second choice. We'll see if they're split up, if they're both at Gulfstream, what Safi decides to do, but that's at least something I think you have to keep in mind. I mean, I'm not going to talk you off a 15-1 shot, but I just think he's a couple low. That's like, and he's been very good at Gulfstream Park, and he has been fine at Kentucky Downs, but like, I always worry about Safis when they leave New York or when they leave Florida, and this is just one that has too much form there that I just don't love him.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that about the Safi situation. I mean, this horse has been okay at Churchill, ran okay at Saratoga. That's kind of the thing. The horse just kind of runs okay, right?
Yeah.
He's been everywhere though, and been okay. So I'm not so worried about this horse with Safi, but yeah, I do agree that like outside of Gulfstream, they do become a lot less appealing. I would be stupid to try to argue that with you because it's just not true, right? So I'm with you on that one.
Yeah, like he hasn't won in a long time too. He's 0 for Safi's barn. That's a concern, right? Like you go back, his other wins are the turf at Santa Anita in the US, like those 3 of them, but like prior to that, it's everything in Europe. I just, again, I wouldn't, I'm not like, hey, 15-1 is just a complete talk you off it, but it's one of those where it wouldn't be on my ticket.
It'll be interesting to see what happens with this horse. I do think he is one that going down the lane will be like, okay, this horse has got a shot, because that's what the horse does, and then maybe doesn't finish it off.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe this is just a spot where this horse gets the job done. So Cash Equity, last one for me. You mentioned all your 4, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I should also mention those are expected morning or odds. I don't know if the morning line's officially out here. Let me check the actual morning line.
Yeah, it's out.
It is. Yeah, I'm not sure if who's the favorite there, but the expected morning line was the 3 to be the favorite. It looks like they're basically the same price. 9-5 on the 2, 2-1 on the 3 in the actual morning line.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Should we do it? The main event. Let's just do it. Let's just rip the Band-Aid off.
Let's go.
All right, race number 13. It is the Preakness course grade 1 event going a mile and 3/16, field of 9 here on the dirt. You are sacking up. You're singling. Tell us why.
Yeah, I'm not really sacking up. I am singling, but I'm not sacking up. Look,
very fair.
I went like through this race in a lot of different ways. I don't like picking favorites, especially in Triple Crown races. I've talked about that ad nauseum. Journalism is just simply the best horse in this race. And like, I can like explain my thought process here. I went through this field. I think you can chuck 5 of the 9 horses completely, which all of a sudden makes this a very different race. And every way I break down the pace here, it feels like Goal Oriented and Clever Again go. Maybe Clever Again's faster and then becomes somewhat of a threat up front, but those 2 are probably pushing the pace. I think American Promise goes. Pay Billy will be somewhere in that early pace. River Thames may be in that early pace. Gosker may be in that early pace. It just sets up for a horse to sit right behind it and punch. And that's journalism. It really is. I mean, I don't love the 8-5 price. Actually, I'm lying. I love the 8-5 price. Yeah. I don't think we're going to get the 8-5 price. If you look at fixed odds markets, you can find even money plus 100, plus 110 out there versus the plus 160 the morning line is projecting. But I can't get around this horse. It's just that simple. And so if I'm trying to get super creative, I might use the 4 Heart of Honor instead, like with the 2 and trying to get a price home in that manner. But to me, the 2 is just like Journalism is just the best horse in this race. Michael McCarthy doesn't need to rush this horse back. Didn't win the Derby, so there's not pressure from that front. He's already won a Preakness, so there's not pressure from that front. He talked about how the horse ran 3 races in 7 weeks as a 2-year-old. There was no issue with Journalism doing that. It just feels like it's all systems go here for Journalism, and he has no reason to be in this race unless they think he's going to fire his shot. And let's be honest, any of the 3 last shots Journalism fired beats this field by 2-3 lengths. And so it's just, as much as I don't want to single Journalism because this is going to be the most singled horse in the sequence, I also don't want to go 3 deep in here trying to beat him because I think that is a little bit foolish. So I'm just going to single the 2 Journalism on top here and hope, the payouts reflect plus 120 when you look at the pick 5 numbers.
Yeah. Listen, I don't really disagree with hardly anything you said. I just look at this and go, he has consistently run races better than anybody in the field. And that's always Okay, that's step one. Yep. Okay, makes sense. And then step two is, okay, well, let's kind of look at the race dynamics and see if he's up against it, this, that, or the other. He really shouldn't be. Now, the race dynamics can shape up surprisingly sometimes, right? I mean, we all will admit that, but on paper, it looks perfect. I mean, it looks absolutely perfect for him. So we talk about that all the time. If those two boxes are checked, well, it's hard to get around them. So yeah, I'm with you. Journalism's on the ticket for me.
Well, and this is to Ed's point, this is the argument to play against.
Mm-hmm.
You are assuming you are getting a worse effort. And you're doing that because either you think that he was set up for a 3-race cycle leading up to the Kentucky Derby, or 2 weeks is too fast to come back. He didn't need to come back. Like, that to me is the reason why I'm kind of against this train of thought and why I ended up singling journalism. He could have skipped this race and no one would have said a word. No one would have been like, oh, well, journalism's not in it. And everyone would have bet him with 2 hands full, like 2 fists full of money in the Belmont had he showed up there and skipped this race. And so the fact that he's back and he doesn't have to be makes me feel a lot more comfortable than I would have had this been a different situation.
I agree with that as well. I'm not worried about him, regressing. I think he'll show up and run that race that he runs. This is what I want to ask you because I'm going to use one more, but before I do, this is what I want to ask you, and then I'll give you my opinion. What are your, is he a great horse? Is he a really good horse? Like, where are you on his talent level overall? Like, do you think this is a horse that can string together 3 or 4 races in a row now? Or what do you think about him? Because I'm on the fence.
I think he's the best 3-year-old in the country.
You still think so? Even though he lost the Derby, you think he's the best still?
Yeah. I mean, he was more forwardly placed than Sovereignty was. He and Sovereignty had similar trips. They both saved ground in the first turn. They both ran well down the lane. I don't see why anyone's opinion should change of what he was prior to the Derby and the Derby. Maybe you should upgrade Sovereignty. Not if you're this guy. We've been talking about Sovereignty the whole time for 6 weeks, right? But I feel like you upgrade Sovereignty more than you downgrade journalism in a lot of ways because of how well journalism ran in that race. Like he ran a very good race and was closer to a pace that completely collapsed than anyone else who finished in the top 4. And so I don't want to take anything away from him because of how well I perceived his run to be in the Derby. And then I look at okay, how do you beat journalism here? It's either he's not good because it's 2 weeks. And if he's not good for 2 weeks, he just loses. That's the reason, right?
Yeah.
The main argument, I think, is Clever again gets the lead and Goal Oriented for some reason doesn't break well or isn't able to clear, and Clever again slows the pace down. He beat Barnes doing that. And Barnes, to me, was better than Clever again in a 5-horse field in that spot. So it's just hard for me to be like, okay, how do I work my way around this if we are going to have a way to beat journalism? And I think journalism ends up winning either the Haskell or the Travers. I think journalism ends up being in the Breeders' Cup Classic. If he is able to make it through the season, I think he wins a major Grade 1 over the summer for 3-year-olds. And I think he is in the big dance with the older horses.
Yeah, I think I look at the same kind of thing and go, you know what? I just don't think I felt going into the Derbies like he's really good. And I think he ran really good, but I didn't see any kind of greatness from him. And so when you show up here, I just sit there and think, look, okay, he's really good. Is really good enough to win? Probably. But I do think the 8 Clever again might be better than really good. I really think that. Because when you look at what this horse did.
Who's he trained by?
He's trained by Asmussen. I know. But Somich, you got to look at this. Here's how I look at it.
Okay. Break it down for me. Do you need a beat?
Okay. They tried him he entered a 4.5 furlong April maiden special weight at Keeneland and nearly beat a Wesley Ward horse that was very well met. That's a decent horse right there, right off the bat, right? Now, not many, if any, of those horses go on to be good doing what he's done the last 2 races. He's shown he's pretty damn talented. First off a 308-day layoff, maiden special weight at Oaklawn, dominant. Runs in the Hot Springs next, dominant again. Now, he should have been, right? Yeah. Because gaming sucks.
Yeah.
And so that is where my issue of I'm not playing this horse. I'm not putting this horse on top and singling him and doing all this stuff because I'm not that impressed that you beat gaming, right? I'm just not. It's just kind of like with journalism. When he coming into the 3-year-old season, I wasn't all that impressed with him. Yeah, you beat Gaming, right? And Getaway Car, big deal. But he did go on to beat. Well, I agree. Like Barnes ran a pretty good race that day. He beat him. Baeza ran a pretty good race both the last 2 races. He beat him both times. He beat all the other horses in the race with Sovereignty. So, like, that's where I'm like, okay, look, journalism is the proven commodity. You would think if he runs his type of race, he's going to win. But Pimlico, big day. Speed usually holds.
Yeah, I mean, you look at past
know.
practices, speed's not been a bad thing. What is it, like the last 3 winners are gate to wire? National Treasure went gate to wire.
Yep.
I mean, yeah.
National Treasure,
Swiss Skywalker, or whatever whatever her name was.
Swiss Skydiver.
Yeah, whatever.
Swiss Skywalker.
I just finished watching Andor. I got Star Wars on my brain.
Seize the Gray. I mean,
yeah. I get it. Who's the other the McCarthy horse that won too?
Well, Rombauer, but he was from off the pace.
Was he off the pace? Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was off. He ran down a loose leader.
Scratch that from the record. So look, I wouldn't be shocked if Clever again wins this race. To me, he, like I said, the most likely way to beat journalism is you get out front and you go gate to wire, and journalism is not able to run you down. But man, I just you mentioned the issue that I have with Clever again. And I think you bring up a great point around the Keeneland 4.5 for a long race. That's not a race you see Steve Asmussen very often.
No.
He just had it so easy the last 2 races. Like you go back and you watch that Hot Springs, he was just out there coasting, right? Like he's just chilling out there, just hanging out, and like then he's able to kick home. That's great. It's the same thing in the allowance prior. He's going to get real pressure from somebody here because he's the outside speed. Like I don't know that he just gets clear, and I think that's where you really see an issue is that if he doesn't clear and all of a sudden he's in a fight, and then oh by the way, you got to hold off a legitimate horse in journalism. I just don't see how he does it. And that's why I ended up not using Clever again on the ticket. I actually have him 4th in the race because I do think the pace is going to be pretty hot, and I think that's going to be detrimental to him. You want a real hot take on Clever again?
Yes.
I think he's a better turf horse.
Well, I mean, he's bred to be a great turf horse.
I mean, you got Galileo on the bottom. You've got American Pharaoh on the top. Like, dude, Asmussen, I don't love you as a turf trainer. Get this horse on some turf stat. Like I understand why we were staying on the dirt, like with all the money and all that jazz. Clever again might be a dominant turf horse if we ever see him on the surface.
Well, that's why I think they ran him in that Keeneland maiden special weight. I think they wanted to take him to Ascot.
Yep, that's exactly what I thought too.
Yeah, and then obviously he got hurt out of it, and they couldn't do it. But I think that's exactly what they had in mind. And I think they brought him back, and maybe, they're down at Oaklawn. It's like you're in a position, it's like just try it on the dirt. And look, he's ran exceptionally well over it twice. So why change it? But
what odds would you give me that he wins a graded turf stakes at Saratoga this summer?
Well, I'm sitting here thinking he could win the Preakness, and so if he runs that well, I don't think he's going to be in those races so much.
Well, that's the spicy part, because if he runs poorly here, if he gets the lead and quits, there's a better chance he ends up in those graded stakes on turf at Saratoga.
Yeah,
so you're almost rooting for him to run well if you bet against me on this one.
Yeah, I wouldn't take it because I just don't know. But yeah, I mean, he is bred to run. Here's the deal. He's bred to run all day. So I don't think the distance will be a problem. He hadn't done it yet, but I don't think that's gonna be a problem at all. But yeah, he is bred to run all day on the grass. So it'll be interesting. Yeah.
So you're using 2 and 8. I'm using the 2. Can I talk about Heart of Honor for a second here?
Okay. So yeah, go ahead.
All right. The 4 horse 12-1. Not saying this horse is going to win. Right. Let's start out with that. If journalism doesn't show up, I do think Heart of Honor has as good of a chance as a couple others in here. I think this is a must-use superfecta horse because Heart of Honor wants to come from off the pace. You're going to have a ton of pace signed on here. I think this is just your classic, basically like Final Gambit in the Derby, where like, hey, look, who's that running late? Oh, it's Final Gambit. Oh, it's Heart of Honor. That is the style that I think you're going to get from Heart of Honor here. And if you look at all of those races overseas, for the most part, he was in the back of the pack early. We know he can handle the distance. I just think 12-1, especially with the way I think this horse gets bet, because you're going to see Admire Daytona, who ran last in the Derby, ahead of him last time out in the running line. You end up getting some value here on Heart of Honor in the exotics.
Yeah, I couldn't get there with Heart of Honor, but you're right. He is kind of that one you look back and go, oh gosh, that horse got third, really?
Yep.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. I wouldn't say no to that. A couple of things I want to mention. The Rustman says, talking about Clever again, he said he ran his fastest buyer on one turn. The Oaklawn mile is a two-turn. Yeah. So it was a two-turn race. Now, it was at a mile, but at Oaklawn, the mile is two turns. Just wanted to point that out. I think this is a good. Can Clever again handle it if he doesn't have the lead? Is he a horse that's getting the lead because he's just kind of fell on it? And will he relax a little bit if he needs to? I think it's probably more likely that he needs the lead, but I don't think it's impossible that he sits, but it would be the first time he'd have to do it.
Yeah. Look, he could be able to, but you don't know. And that's the problem, right? You don't know for sure if he's going to be able to handle that style of pace. And Pratt sends from the one, right? Like he just sends. Yep. And you would expect American Promise, who was prominent in the Derby, is sending from the 3. And that to me is where like the Clever again issues start. Is that, let's say he tries to go and we saw with Baffert horse that went onto the lead and then got completely ruined at Aqueduct, was on the lead in the Arkansas Derby.
Oh, Cornucopian.
We saw Cornucopian. Yeah. Baffert horses aren't backing down. Like the goal orient is not going to back down if someone goes with him. And that to me is the problem here, that like you probably have goal oriented American Promise who are just stubborn. And then all of a sudden Clever again has to either go really fast early, be wide on the first turn, or do something he's never done. And like that spells trouble to me. To be fair, I think Clever again. So I said you could throw out 5 horses. I think you can throw out the 1, the 3, the 5, the 7, and the 9. I can think you just chuck them all out. And then your 4 left are the 2, 4, 6, and 8. That's going to be my superfecta. I think River Thames is the second best horse in this race. And I know like the upside may not be there. Distance concerns are obviously a problem. He's clearly the most proven. He was running in Florida, which by the way has come back great since then, right? I mean, everyone in Florida has run well, including there was like the 6th place finisher in the Gulfstream Park, or the Florida Derby, came back and won it in a stakes race yesterday at Indiana Grand. So like you are seeing these Florida horses do well all over the place. I think you kind of have to respect River Thames as well in this spot.
If he wins, I will not be surprised at all, and I'll be a little bit like, damn it. That's the one I needed to work on the ticket that I wanted to the most in the sequence. Yeah, I agree with you. My only, and the reason why I didn't use him is I think he needs to be like at a mile. I think he's going to be really good when they cut him back just a little bit. I'm just not sure he wants to go a mile and 3/16.
Like I said, I'm concerned about the distance. Yeah. I do like the fact that he ground pretty well in the bluegrass. Like I realize he didn't get by, but he was trying right all the way till the end. Yeah. And Burnham Square ends up winning that race. By the way, Burnham Square came back and ran really well in the Derby too. Yep. Right. So this is one of those where like, I'm going to have a big 2-6 exacta. I'll just tell you that right now. Like it will be cold 2-6, and I will have a triple 2-6 with 4-8 with 4-8, or like 2 with 6 with 4-8. That'll be pretty big as well, because I think River Thames is clearly the second best horse in this spot. And I think that you're going to get Sandman bet off the board. I think Goal Oriented takes money. I think Clever again takes money. I think the 6 is the forgotten horse in this spot as well. So I'll have a lot of those single race exotics around the 6 here, River Thames, but I think it's a tall order for him to win, but I do think he is a very likely second place finisher.
Yeah, I would agree that River Thames is just that horse that I kind of think I know what he's going to do, and that's just run a really nice race. And if the pace melts down and journalism doesn't fire, all of a sudden he can win, right? But I think it's 2 things that are going to happen like that. So.
What do you do with Sam, man? I think we have to talk about him. He's going to be your second choice. I mean, I'm just out. I've been out for a long time. You were in the Derby, so I got to ask you the question.
I went on a rant on Blinkers Off. I'll go on it now just for a minute. So Jared and I were there live for the Arkansas Derby, and we sat there and we watched all the horses walk through, and we looked at each other, and it's like, these horses are not Derby horses. They're just not. They did not. One of them looked the part. Cornucopian looked like shit going through. It was like, oh no, total fake horse. Damn it. But even before he ran, we were like, these horses don't look good. Sandman didn't look all that good. And I got fooled into thinking Sandman was decent after that race. And then you look back and you're like, no, you knew better. You're stupid. And look what happened to the other horses of the race. Cornucopian couldn't beat a 3-horse race at Aqueduct on allowance. Publisher sucked. You knew he sucked. He sucked again. Coal Battle, you knew couldn't go that far. That was stupid. Why did you think he was good? And why did you use Sandman? You're dumb. So then you go to the Preakness and it's like, well, I'm not going to do it this time. So no, I'm out on Sandman.
Okay. I'm glad you came around. I really am. If you take out the Arkansas Derby, he doesn't have a race that's competitive.
No, I know. I mean, I'll admit I was stupid because I was never on him to begin with. Well, and then after that Derby, I thought, well, you know what? Maybe he's coming around. Fuck, no, he's not.
We do VEASAN at the Track every Friday, 2:15 Eastern, 11:15. Shameless plug. Over on the @VEASAN Live YouTube page. I mocked you for putting Sandman in your top 5.
I know you were right.
Get out of there.
And I hated him, and I still had him on there. That's just a dumb, like we were talking on Bleeker's Office. Said, the Derby was great. Like both 2 days was great, very profitable days. But still, if you're like a good gambler, you still look back and you go, okay, that was still stupid as hell. Why did you do that? You knew better than to do it, and you did it anyway. So
it's one of those. I mean, we talk about this a lot on this show, on that show, on general horse racing stuff. Like the Kentucky Derby is a lot like conferences in college basketball. If you can pick the right conference, you can figure out who's going to win the Derby. Arkansas was never the right conference. Like when you see Coal Battle and Publisher, and
it was the Sun Belt.
Exactly. Yeah. I would say what's San Diego State's conference tournament? A10. WAC.
San Diego's Mountain West.
Mountain West, yes, because the Mountain West sucks in the tournament, but always gets like 4 teams in, and you get excited about at least one of them.
Yeah, you're right. The other thing and look, it kind of led me to Sovereignty a little bit as well. Is like I did think the Derby pace would really lead to like a similar situation for Sandman. So
that was my fear, is that Sandman gets the pace set up, and he's the closer that gets the trip. He gets the Mystic Den rail run, right? And all of a sudden you're like, well, shit. If I'd known that, I obviously would have used, but it feels like there's just too much. But I agree here. It's Florida and it's California.
Yeah,
those are the two best circuits. That's very much been proven out at this point.
That's the SEC and the Big Ten right there. Yeah.
And shockingly, that made up 3 of the 4 legs of your super, with Final Gambit, a Brad Cox horse who likes to close, being the 4th. Like it's it's nice when things work out.
Well, in the 5th place horse, if you count Tampa, that was Owen Almighty. I mean, I know Florida, we're saying Gulfstream, but I mean Tampa. So there's 4 out of the top 5.
The fact that Owen Almighty ran 5th is still the most surprising thing to me in the Kentucky Derby.
100%.
Still the most shocking thing. All right, last 2 questions for you. What price does journalism go off at?
I think 6 to 5.
Okay, I think that is a good price. I think like 4 to 5 even money is right around fair market.
Okay.
Right now, I found plus 110, and I did not bet it in the fixed odds market, but that is out there in one place if you want to try and find it. What do you think the 2.6 exacta pays?
I think it's about 8. I think it'd be right about $8 to $10 for $1.
I'll take 12 to 1.
You think so?
I think River Thames is forgotten in this field.
Okay.
I feels like he is going to be the forgotten horse. I think that's going to replicate itself on the tote board. I think Sandman takes a bunch of money again. I think the Sandman is the reason you might get a decent price on journalism, because he is in this race.
I was going to ask you, do you think they're going to show up and bet Sandman like they did in the Derby?
Yes.
Okay. Well, if that's the case, he might be 6 to 5 for real. I'm being serious. Like if they show up that strongly, how they influence the Derby pool, they should be able to influence this pool quite a bit.
Well, that and the fact that like all the casuals, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to bet journalism at 6 to 5.
No.
You look over the last Triple Crown races, it's 15 to 1, 20 to 1, 89 to 1, 70 to 1. Like it's none of these like favorites are winning. And because of that, you're getting people gravitating away from favorites. Like, why do I want an even money shot? No, they're going to want to play a 10 to 1, a 12 to 1, a 6 to 1, or they're Sandman because of the ownership behind it. I don't think that we're going to see that from the 2. All right, Jared wants to know, what's the A2 exacta pay?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
$12 probably for $1.
The correct answer is 0, because it will not catch.
I do think there is a shot at the end of the day. We look and go, gosh, that Clever Again was overrated. Like it, and I also think there's a shot at the end of the day. We go, man, that journalism's overrated too. Seriously.
I will say this: if I'm against journalism, I'm not playing him second in exactas.
Okay.
If I'm against journalism, I'm leaving him out of the try.
Yeah.
Right.
Your theory is he's going to have to not fire.
Yes. Like
Yeah.
the way that he loses is he's not good. And if he's not good, I don't want him in second. I want him in fifth.
Yeah.
Right. Like, especially from a gambling perspective. Right. Because like, if you want to chuck out a horse like journalism, and your argument is he's not going to be right coming back on 2 weeks, he's peaked, all these things, don't put him in second. Don't put him in your try or your super, because the way to get it to pay out for that opinion to be right enough is to not use him, not to defensively use them in spots down the board.
Well, unless you think like Jared thinks, and that he just thinks Clever again is a better horse, then you can use him. But if you're to your point, if you're fading him because you don't think he's going to show up, then don't put him in second. I agree.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah.
Like Ed's comment. I don't remember where it was. Where he's just like, I don't think he's going to fire back. Well, then if you got that idea or your idea, then throw him out. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, if you think he's not going to run, bet he's not going to run, not that he's going to run second.
Yes. Yep. There you go. All right. You want to read off tickets and get out of here?
Oh, we haven't even done that yet. Sure. Let's do it.
Yep. All right. Here, I'll take this. All right. Go ahead.
All right. 50 cent, pick 5 for me. 2-4 with 2-6-9 with 5-6-7 with 3-4-6-9 with $72 for 50 cents, Aaron.
All right. I'm going to go 2-5-6-8 with 1-6 with 3-5-7 with 7-9-10-13 with the 2-8, $96 for me. And let's go, I guess, journalism, Irish Aces, and then we've got some coverage, kind of multiple there on some other ones, right? So let's let's go for that.
Yeah, that'd be good. Irish Aces would be a nice one to have. 10-1 on the morning line, probably like 8-1, 9-1 off odds.
Yep,
that'd be a good little one to connect the tickets with.
Yeah, I think if we can get a like one like that home and maybe one other one, I don't think it's going to pay all that bad for being a big day, even if it is journalism. I think it'll be okay.
I mean, if you want to have some fun, you could press these tickets. Then you could play 2 with 6 with 5-7 with 9 with 2. That'll cost you $30 for $5 if that hits. You're on vacation.
That's right. That would be just fine because you're singling that 10-1 shot that I think will be every bit of that. So yeah. All right. Any final thoughts?
Excited for this weekend. Going to be a lot of fun. Make sure you check out VSiN at the Track. 2:15 Pacific or 2:15 Eastern, 11:15 Pacific tomorrow over on @VSiN Live, and then Mad Dog Radio. Boy, Aaron Halterman and I back on this Saturday from 6 to 8 Eastern, from 3 to 6 Central, or 3 to 6 Pacific. Sorry, no one talks in Central Time except for you. So make sure you check us out over there at VSiN Proper, VSiN Channel 158 on Sirius XM, as well as Mad Dog Sports Radio.
So I will say I had a good time, like a very good time with the Derby. That Derby show was awesome. I loved it. But 4 hours was too long.
It was a lot. But we also had 4 guests, 5 guests.
Yeah, but it was a long time to be like, you got to be on. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like,
oh, I do, because I do it all the time. As do you. Your Thursdays are usually 4 hours on in a row. I had 4 hours last night on the NFL schedule, at least.
Ugh,
Okay,
the Derby was easy for you.
It was not bad. The Derby was easy. That I was excited the whole time. I was looking forward to the race. The last hour feels like it didn't exist because we both hit the Derby, so that was fun.
The last hour was a party. Yeah. Also, what I'm getting at though, I think 2 hours is a sweet spot. I think that'll be good.
Yeah, it'll be nice. We'll be on an hour before the race, an hour after the race, essentially. No races beforehand, so make sure you check out other aspects if you're looking for other picks and races, because that's not going to be there. I'll have the Sama Bombs up for tomorrow and Saturday from Pimlico. No, you've got a betting Bible up at racindudes.com as well. So Carl, you're stealing my jokes. Carl
firing back.
You got the betting Bible up there as well. So a lot of fun places to check out picks if you want other races outside just the pick 5 we just covered.
Absolutely. And go to racenews.com and definitely support the channel. We would love you for it. And Jared will probably have another drunk live stream as well. So that'll be fun. Boy, I got in there after the Derby, after our show in it, I went in there. Did not expect to see what I saw. It was a drunk Jared. It was a rare sighting.
Are we talking like bull shots drunk? Like you on that Breeders' Cup night? Or are we talking like just regular drunk?
We're talking about a level below the bull shot.
Okay.
Like he was coherent, but it was fun. He was talking very slow. It was really fun.
That's funny. He slows down when he's talking when he's hammered.
Yes.
I don't know if I've ever seen slow Jared, like podcast 0.5 speed Jared.
Dude, here's the yeah, it was slow. So here's the deal though. I told him, I was like, I've only seen you like that like twice. Then like I've went out and I like had a drink or whatever, but he doesn't usually get to that level. Like he was there. It was good. It's good. Yeah.
Golf clap. Way to go, buddy.
It's nice to let loose a little bit, you know.
I love that people still remember Woodinville.
Oh, dude, they were talking about it on the Blinkers Off show too, and I'm like, we're not doing that again.
The terrible whiskey that we were taking shots of out of a bowl at the Breeders' Cup in Del Mar. A lot of fun.
That was fun.
Yeah,
that was fun until the next morning for sure.
I mean, that was like you slept with a table on yourself.
I did. I sure did.
Your wife was the MVP of that weekend. She's
for sure.
She sees all of us just absolutely hungover. She's like, I'm gonna go get some coffee for these guys.
Oh yeah, no, she was a lifesaver. Remember I think it was that next morning, she had like all of our stuff laid out like a mom would.
Yeah.
Remember that we were outside dicking around and she's like, oh, here's all your stuff. It's like passes and this and that. I was like, wow.
Someone's forgotten their tickets to the Breeders' Cup before. It helps when someone lays your ticket out for the Breeders' Cup.
That's great. Okay. All right. We're going to get out of here, guys. It's been a fun show. Like I said, Veasan tomorrow, Veasan Saturday, Jared Saturday. And then I don't know what the hell we're going to do after that, but we'll do something. We'll be back next week. So, all right. All right, guys. Have a good one. We'll see you guys. Have a great Preakness. Hopefully everybody hits, and we'll see you next week.
The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.